first park we'll take a closer look at in Eugene is Hendricks Park, Eugene's oldest park. Located around a mile southeast of campus in the Fairmount neighborhood along the ridge overlooking the city, it's easily accessible via Summit Avenue or Fairmount Boulevard. The park covers 80 acres of largely Douglas fir dominant coniferous forest, but also features oak woodlands and mixed deciduous woods, as well as cultivated spaces like the famous rhododendron garden, as well as the native plants garden. To learn more about the park, I spoke with Park Volunteer Coordinator Christina Bentrup about the park's history, ecology, and future. Beginning with the early history of the park before white settlement.
The land originally was habitated by members of the Kalapuya tribes. I don't know much about Hendricks. I think he was a early rich guy in the area with some land. So formed in 1906, it was the city's first public park. And at that time it was open. There was a road through it and it was open for picnicking and things. But the development of the park being sort of partitioned between gardens and forested area really happened in the 50s. That's when about 15 acres of the park was set aside as a formal botanical garden and the rest was set aside as a more natural recreation. So.
Since its founding as a park, the landscape has seen vast changes in its ecology as well.
When the park was acquired in 1906 as this donation, there were existing established Douglas fir trees, but it was much more open. It was heavily grazed, I think, by sheep and other animals. And so since then, most of the park was left ungrazed and the forested part was left to kind of rewild itself. And so lots of Douglas fir trees grew in. So I think it's very safe to say that it's a second growth forest that has more or less naturally filled in over the past 100 years.
The park has seen a lot of changes over the years, and with climate change, we'll see unprecedented ecological shifts in our lifetimes.
We're likely going to lose a lot of the Douglas fir in the coming years, and are optimistic that it will naturally refill with bigleaf maple as the next main overstory tree. We are clearly in a drought with longer periods between rains and hotter summers, sort of on average. And the Douglas fir trees that are the dominant overstory of the forest are in decline. While typically I think a Douglas fir forest kind of reaches its natural lifespan around 300 to 500 years. That's when a lot of the older trees start to decline and something else naturally follows in succession. We're going to hit that a lot sooner, so maybe in 150 years. And that would be the coming decades. And so we're expecting to see most of the Douglas fir die off due to drought. And again, bigleaf maple is a possible replacement tree. In other places, grand fir often replaces Douglas fir. We only have very few of those in the forest. It's a natural transition that's being speeded up, and the forest will probably look more like a Southern Oregon temperate forest.
But it's important to live in the present and appreciate what we have now. And springtime is obviously a fantastic time to see a variety of blooming flowers.
Right now is sort of peak time in the rhododendron garden. So there's lots of rhododendrons, also magnolias, and all other kinds of flowering trees and shrubs. In the native plant garden, there are many flowering ceanothus, which has a wide variety of flowering shrubs native to Oregon. There's also false Solomon seal blooming, bleeding heart, native geums, the native Oregon iris is blooming. In the forest, there are many sort of low-growing perennial wildflowers that are coming up. Again, false Solomon seal, bleeding heart, trillium are sort of just past bloom. Red flowering currant are blooming. The fern fronds are all unfurling. It's a nice time to see those. Yeah, I think that there's a wide range in every part of the park. There's no bad place to visit right now.
So I hope you've learned a little bit more about Hendricks Park, and I encourage you to get out there and enjoy our beautiful local parks and gardens, and remember to keep abiding by social distancing measures while doing so.
Bye.